The avalanche hit like God's own sucker punch, burying the world in white chaos while I clawed at the suffocating snow, my lungs screaming for air that wasn't there. Chris's voice cut through the roar, a raw, desperate bellow of my name that echoed off the buried pines. Alex! Hold on. Damn it. I'm coming. And then his gloved hands exploded through the drift, yanking me free just as the mountains settled into a deadly hush. In that frozen heartbeat, as he collapsed beside me gasping, his eyes locked on mine with a fire I'd never seen, he whispered words that shattered everything. I can't lose you, Alex. Not like this. Not ever. Because I love you. More than a brother ever should. That moment up on Vale's backcountry slope wasn't just the end of a near-death slide. It was the unraveling of the fragile thread I'd spent years pretending held our family together. Chris and I weren't blood, stepbrothers by a marriage that crashed and burned faster than a drunk driver's fender bender. But we'd grown up thick as thieves in the sprawl of suburban Denver, back when Dad's construction gigs kept us scraping by in a split-level rancher on the edge of the plains. He was 3 years older, the golden boy with the quarterback arm and the easy grin that made teachers overlook his skipped classes, while I was the scrawny kid with asthma inhalers in every pocket, more at home sketching comic panels than spiking volleyballs. Mom met his dad at a PDA fundraiser, two divorcees trading war stories over lukewarm Chardonnay, and boom, instant family. Or so we thought. Winter sports camp at Vale was supposed to be our reset button. A last hurrah before Chris shipped off to CU Boulder on a partial athletic scholarship, and I hunkered down for senior year at East High. Dad's idea, naturally, build some character, boys. Nothing bonds like freezing your asses off on skis. We'd loaded up the old Ford Explorer with thermoses of coffee and bags of beef jerky, blasting Springsteen the whole 4-hour haul up I-70, windows fogged with our bullshit stories about girls we'd never actually dated. Chris cranked Born to Run and drummed the wheel, his laugh booming like he owned the highway. I stole glances at him, messy chestnut hair whipping in the wind, that jawline sharp enough to cut glass, and told myself it was just brotherly admiration. Nothing more, because admitting otherwise, that was a one-way ticket to hell in our Bible Belt-adjacent neighborhood. Camp kicked off with the usual rah-rah. Burly coaches in Patagonia vests herding us onto the bunny slopes, assigning cabins like some twisted summer camp for adrenaline junkies. Our group was a mix, kids from Denver prep schools rubbing elbows with inner-city athletes on waivers, all united by the dream of glory on the slopes. Chris, of course, slotted right in, charming the ski patrol volunteers and leading pickup games of snow soccer that left everyone wheezing and grinning. Me? I stuck to cross-country trails, lungs burning but free from the vertical drops that turned my stomach. You're tougher than you look, kid, Chris would say, ruffling my hair like I was still 12, his touch lingering just a second too long before he'd pull away with a wink. By day 3, the vibe had shifted. Whispers rippled through the mess hall about Jake Harlan, the cocky transfer from Aspen who'd brought his own snowboard and a reputation for hooking up with anyone who glanced his way. Jake was all lean muscle and bleached tips, the kind of guy who quoted Hemingway in bio breaks to impress the girls, or the guys who swung that way and didn't care who knew. Chris avoided him at first, burying himself in drills, but I caught the glances. Jake's smirk across the lodge fire pit, Chris's jaw tightening as he stared into the flames. What's his deal? I asked one night, our cabin bunk creaking under my weight as I peeled off damp socks. Chris shrugged from the top bunk, his silhouette a shadow against the rafters. Just some rich kid playing games. Ignore him. But his voice had that edge, the one he got before a fight back in middle school when bullies called me Wheeze Boy. I wanted to press to crack that shell, but the words stuck. Instead, I lay there listening to the wind howl outside, wondering why my chest ached like I'd taken a hit. The next morning, we geared up for the big traverse, a grueling 10-miler across the ridgeline, testing endurance before the freestyle comp coach Ramirez paired us off. Chris with Jake, me trailing with a quiet kid named Theo who sketched wildlife in his downtime. Keep it tight. Form up, Ramirez barked, his whistle slicing the frosty air. We pushed out single file, skins on skis whispering over powder, the sun glinting off Eagle's Nest like a promise of something wild. Chris led our pack, his broad shoulders cutting a path, Jake dogging his heels with that predatory grace. I watched them disappear around a bend, a knot twisting in my gut I couldn't name. Theo and I lagged, chatting about nothing, his dream of art school, my half-baked plans for graphic design at community college. The trail steepened, wind picking up with a vengeance. And that's when the first flakes hit. Fat, furious, blotting out the horizon. Storms rolling in early, Theo muttered, checking his altimeter. Radio crackled. All units, batten down, wide out inbound. Rendezvous at checkpoint 3. But visibility dropped to 0, world narrowing to a white tunnel. Panic clawed at me, inhaler forgotten in my pack. Theo vanished in a swirl, his shout swallowed. I skied blind, poles stabbing emptiness, heart hammering like a jackrabbit. Minutes, hours, time blurred in the roar. Then the crack. A deep, guttural groan from the slope above, snow shifting like a beast waking. Avalanche. My brain screamed down, but legs froze. The wall hit, tumbling me into icy oblivion, filling my mouth with crystals, pressing until breath was a memory. And then Chris, his hands, his voice, hauling me out like I weighed nothing. We sprawled there, chests heaving, the slide's debris steaming around us. His face was streaked with frost, eyes wild, blue as the sky we'd lost. "Alex," he gasped, fingers digging into my parka. "Jesus," I thought. He trailed off, pulling me against him, our breaths mingling in frantic puffs. That's when he said it. Those words. "I love you. God. Alex, I've loved you since we were kids." Hiding it, pretending. It's killing me. The world tilted. My stepbrother. My Chris, the guy who'd taught me to throw a curveball, who'd covered for me when I snuck out to draw under streetlights. Loved me. Not like family. Like that. Shock burned through the cold, my pulse sinking with his. "Chris, what the—" A shout cut us off. Jake, skiing up with Theo and a patrol team, faces pale under helmets. "Holy shit, you two okay?" That was close. Relief flooded their voices, but Chris jerked back, mask slamming down. He stood, offering me a hand with that old, easy grin. "Yeah, just a little excitement. Let's get back." The trek to safety was a blur, medics checking vitals, hot cocoa in the warming hut, slaps on the back for Chris the hero. But his confession hung between us, heavier than the storm clouds breaking overhead. That night, cabin lights out, I stared at the underside of his bunk, words churning. "Love you more than a brother ever should." It explained everything. The protective glares at school dances, the late-night talks that stretched till dawn, the way he'd brush off dates with girls like they were bad coffee. And me? I'd felt it too, buried under layers of denial, chalking it up to idol worship. But now, it was a live wire sparking dangerous. Word spread fast in a place like camp, whispers of the avalanche miracle. Chris's daring save painted in heroic strokes. Jake cornered him by the gear racks next day, all smirks and sidelong looks. "Heard you played night in shining Gore-Tex." Impressive. Chris laughed it off, but I saw the tension in his shoulders, the way he scanned for me in the crowd. We avoided each other through drills, the air thick with unspoken static. Theo noticed, pulling me aside during lunch. "You and Chris, something's off since the slide." Spill. I almost did. Almost let it pour out. The fear, the thrill, the terror of what it meant in a world that still whispered freak behind closed doors. But nah, just adrenaline crash. I lied, forcing a smile. Inside, though, questions gnawed. What now? Tell Dad? Mom? Risk the family fracturing again? Or bury it deeper? Let it fester like untreated frostbite? Evening brought the bonfire. Mandatory team building. Flames leaping 20 feet under a star-pocked sky. Guitars strummed folk tunes. Marshmallows charred on whittled sticks. Chris sat across the circle, Jake wedged beside him. Their heads bent close over a shared flask. Laughter spilled out, easy and intimate, and something twisted sharp in my chest. Jealousy? Betrayal? I couldn't breathe, excusing myself to the shadows, fists clenched against the chill. Footsteps crunched behind me. Chris. "Hey, wait up." His hand on my arm, warm, insistent, spun me around. Moonlight silvered his face, etching worry lines too deep for 19. We gotta talk. About earlier. Earlier, I echoed, voice cracking. You drop a bomb like that. I love you. Then act like it's nothing? While you cozy up with him. His eyes widened, then narrowed. Jake? It's not Alex, he's just a guy. Flirting, yeah, but it's cover. You think I want that? After what I said. He stepped closer, breath ghosting my cheek. I've been dying inside, watching you laugh with Theo, wondering if you'd ever look at me like that. The slide. It ripped the filter off. I can't pretend anymore. Then what? I whispered, heart thundering. We're steps. Family. Dad would. Screw Dad. He hissed, fierce. This is us. You and me against the bullshit. Always has been. His hand cupped my jaw, thumb tracing my lip, gentle electric. For a suspended second, I leaned in, worlds colliding in the space between us. Then Jake's voice shattered it. Yo, Chris. Coach wants you for the lineup. Spotlight harsh, he sauntered over, oblivious or not. Chris dropped his hand like it had burned, mask snapping back. Coming, he called, voice steady. To me, softer, later. Promise. But later never came. Not that night, anyway. The freestyle comp dawned crisp and electric. Vale's main bowl groomed to glassy perfection under a sky so blue it hurt to look at. Coaches paced like caged wolves, barking last-minute form checks while we milled in the start gate. Nerves jangling like loose carabiners. Chris was in his element, leadoff jumper, board tuned to razor edges, that cocky tilt to his chin screaming, watch this. I'd bowed out after the slide, sticking to spectator duty with Theo, but my eyes tracked him like a hawk, replaying that almost kiss in the firelight haze. He nailed the run. A clean 720 spin off the knuckle, buttery, landing into a nose press on the rail that had the crowd whooping. Jake followed, flashy but sloppy, grabbing second on style points alone. As Chris dismounted, grins splitting his face, Jake slung an arm around his shoulders. Bro hug? Sure, but too lingering, too loaded. Chris stiffened, shot me a glance across the snow, but didn't shrug it off. My stomach soured like I chugged flat soda. Post-comp debrief dragged in the lodge, Coach Ramirez dissecting footage on a projector while we nursed Gatorades. Whispers buzzed. Jake crowing about an after-party at his folks' empty condo in the village. No rules, just vibes. Invites flew. Theo nudged me. You in? But I demurred, claiming a headache. Truth? I couldn't stomach watching Chris navigate whatever dance he was doing with Jake. Not after his words clawed their way into my dreams. All tangled limbs and whispered confessions. Dusk fell early, shadows pooling in the pines as the party crew piled into vans. Chris lingered by the door, pack slung low. You sure? It'll be fun. Unwind. His eyes pleaded stay, talk, fix this. But Jake honked from the driver's seat, impatient. Duty calls, hero, Chris said, forcing levity. He leaned in, voice low. Meet me at the Overlook trailhead midnight. We finish this. I nodded, throat tight. Don't be late. The hours crawled. Theo crashed early, snoring softly in our bunk. I paced the cabin, boots on, mind a blizzard of what-ifs. What if he's with Jake right now, testing waters he swore were mine? What if Dad finds out, disowns us both? Our family was a house of cards. Mom's new boyfriend already sniffing around for reasons to bolt, Dad's temper flaring over fantasy football losses. One wrong word and it'd all avalanche. Midnight found me crunching up the Overlook path, headlamp beam slicing fog. The trailhead was a wooden bench etched with lovers' initials, overlooking the valley's twinkling lights. Vale Village, a jewel box nestled in the dark. Wind whispered through aspens, carrying faint bass thumps from the party a mile off. I sat, breath fogging, second-guessing every step. 10 past. 20. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown. Hey, it's Theo. Saw Chris leave the party early. Looked wrecked. Something up? Attached. A blurry snap of Chris slipping out Jake's condo door, shoulders hunched, no arm candy in tow. Relief flickered, chased by worry. Where was he? 40 minutes in, headlights pierced the gloom. An SUV idling up the access road. Not camp issue. Cut engine, doors slamming. Voices. Jake's drawl, slurred with beer, and Chris. My gut plummeted. I killed the light, ducking behind a boulder, heart-slamming ribs. They stumbled into view, Jake's hand fisted in Chris's jacket, pulling him close. Come on, man, don't blueball me now, Jake murmured, lips brushing Chris's neck. Chris resisted. Half-hearted shove. Words muffled. Jake, stop. This isn't. Isn't what? Fun. Jake laughed, low and mean, pinning him against a tree. Moonlight caught the flash of teeth, hands roaming. Betrayal hit like a gut punch. After everything, hot tears pricking my eyes. I wanted to scream, to charge and swinging, but legs rooted, invisible. Chris twisted free, voice rising. Damn it, Jake, no. It's not you. It's never been. He pushed harder, stumbling back. Jake's face twisted, hurt morphing to ugly. What, the little brothers got your leash. Saw you two after the slide. Real sweet. Shut your mouth, Chris snarled, fists balling. You don't know shit. Oh, I know plenty. Jake advanced, venom dripping. Golden boy, Chris, closet case extraordinaire. Bet your old man's proud. The punch landed square. Chris's head snapped back, blood blooming dark on his lip. He swung wild, connecting with Jake's jaw, a crack echoing like gunfire. They grappled, grunts and curses tumbling in the snow. Two shadows locked in fury. I burst from hiding, yelling, Chris! Stupid, reckless, but it broke the spell. Jake staggered, wiping blood, eyes wild on me. Freak show! He spat, backing toward his ride. Tell your boyfriend here to pick a lane. Engine roared. Tires spun gravel. Gone. Chris sagged against the tree, chest heaving, face a mask of regret. Alex, you weren't supposed to. He wiped his mouth, smearing crimson. Shit. I closed the gap, hands hovering. Touch him? Yell? What the hell was that? You said. I know what I said. He grabbed my wrists, grounding us both. Jake's been pushing since day one. Flirting to blow off steam, yeah, but when I shut it down tonight, he flipped. I was coming to you, I swear. Ditched early 'cause I couldn't fake it anymore. Relief warred with rage, emotions colliding like the boys in the dirt. You let him kiss you, after telling me. A mistake. Panic. His voice cracked, raw. I've messed up, Alex. Hiding from us for so long it's habit. But no more. I choose you. If you'll have me. The air hummed, charged. I searched his eyes, bruised, earnest, and saw the boy who'd shared his first skateboard, the man who'd pulled me from the snow. I do, I breathed. God, Chris, I do. Our lips met, tentative, then fierce, salt of blood and tears mingling, world narrowing to the stolen beat. It wasn't fireworks. It was homecoming, quiet thunder in our veins. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed. What now? I whispered. He smiled, crooked through the split lip. We fight for it. Together. But dawn brought reality's bite. Coach called an all hands. Jake's dad, some hotshot lawyer, had lodged a complaint. Assault at camp-sanctioned event. Whispers flew. Eyes slid our way. Chris faced Ramirez stone-faced. Self-defense, sir. He swung first. Investigated. Isolated. By noon, we were sidelined. Chris benched for the finals. Me shuffled to admin duty logging gear. Theo cornered me in the supply shed. Jake's spinning it bad. Says Chris started it over. Something personal. His gaze sharpened. With you. I froze, pulse roaring. What? No, that's... Alex. Gentle but firm. I see how you look at him. And after the slide? It's okay. Really. Theo was out, quiet about it. Art crowd at his school was a rainbow coalition. His acceptance cracked my dam. I spilled it all, voice trembling. He hugged me fierce. You're brave. He'll see that. But Chris didn't. Not yet. That afternoon, Dad's truck barreled into the lot, summoned by the camp director's frantic call. He stormed the office, flannel shirt untucked, face thunderous. What the hell's going on? Fighting? Over what? Some snow punk. Chris stood tall beside me, Ramirez mediating. It was nothing, Dad. Heat of the moment. Bull. Dad's eyes bored in, suspicion flickering. Heard rumors. You two. Cozying up after that avalanche stunt. What's the truth? Silence stretched, taut as a guy line. Chris glanced at me, your call, and I swallowed dry. Dad, it's... My phone buzzed. Mom. On my way. Hold tight. Back up, maybe. But Dad's glare hardened. Spit it out, Alex. Or I'll drag you both home right now. Chris stepped forward, voice steady. It's me, Dad. I care about Alex. More than brothers. That's what the fight was. Jake mouthing off. The room iced over. Dad's face drained, then flushed beet red. You what? Jesus Christ, boy, that's... He choked, words failing. Ramirez cleared his throat. Mr. Harlan, let's take this outside. But Dad wheeled on us, pointing. This family's had enough scandals. You think I raised queers under my roof? The slur landed like shrapnel. Chris flinched. I burned. Dad, stop. No. He jabbed a finger. Pack your shit. We're gone. Both of you. He stormed out, door slamming echo. Mom arrived 20 minutes later, eyes red-rimmed, hugging us in the parking lot while Dad fumed in the cab. Boys, she murmured. We'll sort this. At home. But her grip trembled. Fear. Not just for us, but the marriage teetering again. The drive back was hell. Radio off, silence thick as exhaust. Chris and I in the cramped back seat, knees brushing, hands clasped hidden under jackets. His thumb stroked my knuckles, we got this. But doubt gnawed. Home meant facing neighbors, school, the life we'd built on half-truths. Denver sprawled below us as we crested the pass. City lights winking like distant fireflies, mocking the storm brewing in the truck's cab. Dad gripped the wheel white-knuckled, jaw set like he was hauling rebar in a gale. Mom twisted in the passenger seat, shooting us worried glances through the rearview, her voice a soft anchor. Let's just breathe, okay? Talk it out at home. But home felt like a minefield now, every familiar corner laced with what-ifs. We pulled into the driveway under the sodium glow of the street lamp, the rancher squatting unassuming. Faded siding, basketball hoops sagging from disuse. Chris and I unloaded in silence, bags thumping on the porch like accusations. Inside, the air smelled of Mom's pot roast cooling on the stove, a cruel normalcy. Dad beelined for the garage, his workshop, code for brooding over tools, leaving us to unpack the weight. Upstairs, our rooms flanked the hall like old allies. Chris's posters of snowboard legends peeling at the edges, my desk buried in sketchpads. He dropped his duffel in the doorway, leaning against the frame. Alex, about Dad. His lip was swollen, a purple bloom under the scab. Bruised, like us. I sank onto my bed, sketchbook open to a half-drawn panel of the avalanche. Chaos captured in charcoal smudges. He hates me now. Us. The words tasted like ash. What if he kicks you out? Scholarship's one thing, but... Stop. Chris crossed the threshold, kneeling before me, hands on my knees. Steady, warm. He doesn't hate you. He's scared. Of what people say, yeah, but mostly of losing control. Give him time. His eyes searched mine, soft in the lamplight. This changes nothing for me. Everything, maybe, but not that. I traced his knuckles, calloused from grips and grabs. Then what does it change? Voice small, but the question loomed large. He rose, pulling me up with him. Close, but not crossing lines we weren't ready for. It means we stop hiding. Dates if we want. Holding hands in the park. Normal shit, Alex. Our normal. A grin tugged, lopsided. Starting with pizza tomorrow. My treat. Laughter bubbled. Unexpected, relief's first crack. We talked till the house creaked midnight. Dreams deferred, fears voiced. Him confessing the ache of crushes on teammates. Me admitting sketches of him hidden in journals. Vulnerability wrapped us like a quilt, stitching wounds. Downstairs, voices rose. Dad and Mom, low thunder. We crept to the landing, eavesdropping like kids again. Dot can't just ignore it, Ellen. It's unnatural. What'll the church group say? Dad's rumble, pained. There are boys, Tom. Blood or not, they're hurting. Mom's steel, honed from years of holding fractured pieces. You pushing away. You losing both. Remember what happened with your sister? Silence. Then Dad gruff. I need time. Footsteps. Heaved sigh retreating to the den. Mom spotted us, waving us down. Over chamomile tea at the kitchen table. Steam curling like secrets. She laid it bare. Your father's from a different world. Blue-collar Catholic. All fire and brimstone. But he loves you. Fierce. Give him grace. To Chris. And you, proud of your courage. To me, both of you. This family's weathered worse. We nodded, throats tight, but her words planted seeds. Bed that night was fitful, dreams tangled with camp snow and Dad's glare. Morning brought forced normalcy. Pancakes stacked high, Dad grunting over the sports page, avoiding eyes. Good run up there? He asked Chris, voice neutral. Yeah, intense. Chris forked a bite, casual. Saved Alex's ass, though. Dad's fork paused, glanced at me. Flicker of something soft. Heard. Attaboy. No more, but it was a thread. Progress. School loomed Monday. East High's halls a gauntlet of gossip mills. Chris drove us in the old Civic, radio low on NPR, his hand brushing mine on the stick shift. Chin up, he murmured as we pulled into the lot. We've got each other's backs. Turns out, Vale's echo reached faster than a viral TikTok. By homeroom, murmurs swirled. Heard the Harlan kid got decked over some gay drama. Eyes on us in the cafeteria. Theo waving us over, his table a safe harbor of misfits. Survived the witch hunt? He quipped, sliding a tray. Barely. Chris scanned the room, spotting Jake across the way. Glare like daggers, lip fat from the fight. Asshole's back. Great. Theo leaned in. Word is, his dad's suing the camp. But Ramirez vouched self-defense. You're clear. Relief, but shallow. Lunch devolved into shop talk. Theo showing my sketches. Chris ribbing about secret comic empire. For a stolen hour, it felt possible. Normalcy with an edge. Afternoon brought the bomb. Guidance counselor, Mrs. Patel, called me in, door shut, tissues at the ready. Alex, rumors from camp. If you need to talk about identity, family, resources here. Her eyes kind but probing. Or if it's unsafe at home. I stiffened. It's fine. Really. But doubt crept, Dad's unnatural echoing. I texted Chris. Counselor knows. What if it spreads? His reply, then we own it. Pizza tonight? That evening, we escaped to Bo Joe's. Gordian knot crust loaded with sausage and green chiles. Colorado comfort in pie form. Booth in the back, away from prying eyes. We split a pitcher of root beer, knees knocking under the table. To us? Chris toasted, foam mustache ridiculous. Laughter flowed easy, barriers crumbling. But outside, under neon buzz, reality nipped. A truck idled across the lot. Dad's buddy from the site, staring. Chris tensed. Ignore. Can't forever. I squeezed his hand, quick but real. What if he tells Dad? Then we face it. Resolve in his voice, but fear shadowed his eyes. We drove home, windows down, chill air whipping doubts. Night 2 of tiptoeing. Dad at the table, nursing a cores, Mom mediating small talk. How's practice? She asked Chris. Off-season grind. He shoveled mashed potatoes, avoiding. But Dad cleared his throat. That scholarship. Don't blow it on. Distractions. The air chilled. Chris's fork clattered. Distractions? Like who I love. Dad's face modeled. Watch your tone. This ain't up for debate. Isn't it? Chris pushed back, chair scraping. You gonna disown me? For being honest. Mom's hand on Dad's arm stay. Boys, enough. But damage done, words hanging like smoke. I fled to my room, chest tight, asthma flaring, irony bitter. Chris followed, shutting the door soft. Hey! He sat on the bed's edge, pulling me into his side. He'll come around. Or we make our own way. Arm around me, heartbeat steady. Anchor in the storm. We didn't speak. Didn't need to. His presence was promise, quiet strength. But betrayal brewed elsewhere. Wednesday, anonymous texts hit Chris's phone. Fairy boy thinks he's tough? Watch your back. Jake's crew, no doubt cowards hiding behind burners. He showed me in the parking lot. Face grim. Block him. Not that simple. He pocketed it. If they come at me, fine. But you? Off limits. Protection mode always. It swelled my heart, but worry gnawed. We tell someone? Like who? Cops? Dad? Bitter laugh. Nah. We handle our shit. That night I couldn't sleep, mind racing circuits. Slipped into the hall. Chris's door ajar, glow from his phone. He waved me in, sheets rumpled. Can't either. We ended up on the floor, backs to the bed frame, talking low till stars faded. Childhood forts in the basement, dreams of road tripping Route 66 post-graduation. You, me, open road, he murmured. No hiding. Sounds perfect. Fingers laced, innocent, profound. Dawn crept, we dozed tangled, platonic lines blurring in safety. Morning shattered it. Dad, early riser, banged on the door. Chris! School. Voice muffled, but tone sharp. We jolted, guilt flashing. Coming? Chris called, scrambling. At breakfast, Dad's eyes narrowed on our rumpled clothes. Late night. Just talking, I said quick. About. Suspicion thick. Future stuff. Chris met his gaze. College. Jobs. Dad grunted. Unconvinced. Dropped it, but the seed festered. School amped the pressure. Jake and his pack cornered Chris after gym. Locker slamming, voices low threat. I rounded the corner in time to hear. Stay away from my turf, queer. Shove. Chris shoved back. Back off, Harlan. Steely. Jake sneered. Or what? Call your boyfriend. Fists flew, quick jabs, no full brawl. Teachers broke it. Detentions assigned. Principal's office. Warnings issued. Parents called. Dad arrived fuming, collecting Chris like a truant. This ends now, he growled in the hall. To me, aside, you stirring this? Me? Stung. Dad, it's... Save it. He herded Chris out, leaving me adrift. Theo drove me home, quiet support. He's protecting you. That's love. I know, but isolation bit. Home empty. Mom at work, Dad and Chris talking in the garage. I sketched furiously. Panels of fractured families, heroes in hiding. Hours later, they emerged. Chris's eye purpling, Dad's knuckles raw. Boxing lesson, Dad muttered, avoiding eyes. But in his grip on Chris's shoulder, brief, gruff, something shifted. Acceptance? Or armistice? That night, family dinner was tense truce. Meatloaf passed, stories swapped haltingly. Dad even asked about my art. That comic thing. Got potential? Gruff but genuine. Progress, fragile. But Jake's texts escalated. Pics of Chris's locker keyed, threats veiled. Chris deleted, but I saw the toll, sleepless shadows under his eyes. Friday brought the breaking point. School assembly, pep rally for state playoffs. Chris on stage, mic in hand, hyping the crowd. Jake in the bleachers, heckling low. Fairy's got moves. Laughter ripples. Chris faltered, then straightened. Yeah, I do. Turned it to joke, but eyes blazed. Post-rally, he pulled me behind the gym. I'm done hiding, telling Dad everything. Tonight. Fear spiked. Chris, wait. No. Fierce. We deserve this. Out loud. Home that evening, storm clouds gathered, literal and not. Rain lashed windows as we sat Dad down in the den. Mom hovering. Chris's voice steady. Dad, I love Alex. Romantically. It's real and it's us. Dad's face cycled shock, denial, rage. You can't, it's wrong. Sick. Love's not sick. Chris held ground. Hiding is. Dad stood, pacing. My house, my rules. You choose this. Thing or family. Ultimatum. My heart cracked. Mom gasped. Tom, no? Chris rose, pulling me up. Then we go. Bags half-packed upstairs, dreams derailed. But Dad deflated, sinking to the couch. Wait. Voice hoarse. Just wait. Tears, rare, raw. I can't lose you. Either of you. We froze. Mom bridged. Counseling. All of us. Learn together. Dad nodded, broken. Yeah. For you boys. Hug then, awkward, enveloping. First crack in the wall. The weeks blurred into a tentative thaw, like spring mud sucking at boots after a long freeze. Family counseling started Tuesdays at a strip mall office in Aurora. Dr. Lena, a no-nonsense therapist with a Broncos mug and a knack for cutting through bullshit. First session, Dad fidgeted like a kid in detention, arms crossed over his Carhartt flannel. This don't make me okay with it, he grumbled when she prompted. Just trying. Fair? Dr. Lena nodded, her voice steady as a metronome. Tom, what's the scariest part? He rubbed his neck, gaze on the carpet. Losing him. To whispers, fights. World out there's cruel. Chris squeezed my knee under the table, hidden solidarity. We know, Dad, but we're tougher. Sessions chipped away. Dad sharing his own youth. Beatings from his old man for soft hobbies like poetry. Mom confessing fears of another divorce. We spoke truths in measured doses. Chris's isolation on teams, my terror of rejection. By fourth week, Dad cracked a joke. So, double dates now? Budget buster. Laughter uneasy but real. School was dicier. Jake's harassment simmered. Notes in lockers, stairs and halls. But Theo rallied allies. Art club kids forming a buffer. Even the GSA advisor looping in admin. No more fists, just cold shoulders. Chris and I navigated careful. Lunch together, hands brushing in empty corridors. First real date at Red Rocks Amphitheater. Picnic under stars, his head on my shoulder during an indie folk set. This, he whispered, worth every bruise. But betrayal's shadow lingered. Spring break hit and Mom's boyfriend Mark, the accountant with the comb-over, visited. Dinner was polite torture. Him probing Chris about college plans. Eyes sliding skeptical when we mentioned shared dorm hunts. Later, in the kitchen, he cornered Mom. Ellen, the boys. It's a phase, right? For Alex, maybe, but Chris? Athletic type. I overheard from the stairs, blood boiling. Confronted him next morning over coffee. Rare boldness. It's not a phase. It's us. Deal or leave. Mark blinked, flustered. Kid, Alex. Mom intervened, pained. Mark's adjusting, but seeds sown. That night, whispers on the porch. Mark pushing. What'll the neighbors think? Mom's voice rose. My son's Mark, or nothing. He left early, tail between legs. Mom hugged us after. Your father's come far. Give others time. But hurt etched her, another fracture. Chris pulled me aside. We can't fix everyone. Just us. Prom loomed, junior-senior right, tuxes and limos. I balked. Crowd. Drama. But Chris grinned. Go big. You in that blue suit? Killer. We did. Matching bow ties. Corsage traded for a leather bracelet etched. Always. Danced under disco ball haze. His hand at my waist proper. World fading to bass thump. Jake glowered from the punch bowl, but security shadowed him now. Prior complaints paying off. A slow song hit. Chris swayed me close. Love you, mouthed against my temple. Love you back. Heart full, terrifying. Summer scorched in, asphalt shimmering. Chris's job at the rec center. Lifeguard shifts, whistle around neck. Left him bronzed and grinning. I waitressed at a diner off Colfax. Tips fat on hippie crowds. Sketching on napkins between orders. Evenings. Drives up Mount Evans. Picnics at Echo Lake. Firsts we savored slow. Kisses deepening under ponderosa shade. Boundaries respected in the fire of newness. Dad softened incremental. Grilling burgers. Asking Chris's take on MLB trades. Even joining us for a Rockies game at Coors Field. Bleachers buzzing. Purple row foam fingers waving. In the seventh inning stretch, he clapped Chris's back. Proud of you, son. Win or lose. To me, quieter. You too, kid. Always. Tears pricked, human moments mending. But climax brewed in Jake's corner. August heat wave. News dropped. His family suing not just camp, but us. Defamation claim, twisting the fight into hate crime against him. Dad's face ashen over the letter. Lawyers? Christ. Chris paced the kitchen. Fight it. Truth's on our side. We lawyered up, pro bono from a queer advocacy group Theo's mom knew. Depositions dragged. Jake's smirk cracking under cross. His jokes exposed as barbs. Chris testified calm. He attacked first. Verbal, then physical. Over my relationship. Judge, stern woman with rainbow pin, ruled quick. Case dismissed, restraining order on Jake. Victory tasted sweet, but hollow scars lingered. Fall semester hit. Chris at CU. Dorm in Boulder, 40 minutes of winding highway. Weekends home bridged, but distance stretched. Texts constant. Miss your laugh. Study break. Visits. Coffee at Pearl Street. Hikes and flatirons. Nights tangled in his narrow bed. Whispers chasing loneliness. Thanksgiving. Full table, Mark absent. Mom single again. Resolute. Dad carved turkey. Toasting. To family. Messy. But ours. Eyes met Chris's, nod, unspoken okay. But betrayal's final twist. Holiday party at the rec center. Chris's co-workers, mostly straight jocks, eyed us wary. One, Tyler, pulled him aside. Heard about the drama. Cool with it. Chris affirmed. Tyler clapped his shoulder. But later, drunk on spiked eggnog, Tyler slurred to the group. Chris has got that whole stepbro thing. Kinda twisted, right? Overheard. Knife twist. Chris confronted. Voice low thunder. Say it to my face. Tyler backed down, mumbling apologies. But damage. Whispers reignited. Shifts awkward. Chris quit end of month. Not worth the poison. Hurt him deep, dreams deferred. I held him that night. Back home. Your worth's not their vote. He buried face in my neck. I know. Just tired of fighting. Winter circled back. Anniversary of the slide. We returned to Vale, just us. Cabin rental, skis rented, slopes calling. First run. Backcountry echo, but tethered ropes, beacons each other. At the overlook, snow dusting pines, he dropped to one knee. Not ring, but a keychain. Tiny silver slope, engraved forever slope. Promise, he said, eyes shining. No more hiding. Build this life. Tears froze on lashes. Yes. But homebound, call came, Dad voice cracking. Accident at the site. Tom's hurt, bad. Rush to Swedish medical. Dad in traction, beam collapse crushing his leg. Mom pale vigil, we arrived breathless. Boys, he rasped, gripping our hands. Glad you're here. Recovery stretched months. Physical therapy. Dad hobbling on crutches. Temper flaring at helplessness. Chris stepped up. Job hunting closer, delaying spring classes. I juggled shifts, drawing therapy posters for his rehab group. Superheroes rising from rubble. One night, den fire crackling. Dad pulled us close. I was wrong. About a lot. You too. You're the best of me. Don't let go. Tears then, collective, cathartic. Human frailty binding us tighter. Spring unfurled tentative. Cherry blossoms dusting Denver's alleys like confetti from a half-hearted parade. Dad's rehab progressed, crutches traded for a cane. His limp a badge of survival rather than defeat. He even joined a support group for injured vets and workers, swapping stories over weak coffee, emerging quieter, more reflective. Life's short, he'd grunt over breakfast, folding the paper. Don't waste it on what-ifs. Glances at Chris and me carried weight now. Approval unspoken but etched in crow's feet softening. Chris deferred his semester, landing a gig coaching youth soccer at the rec. Irony noted, but healing. Kids don't judge, he said, scuffing turf after practice. Grass stains on knees. Just run and kick. I tagged along sometimes, sketching goalie dives, his silhouette commanding yet gentle. Our rhythms settled. Mornings tangled in his bed before dawn shifts. Evenings on the porch swing. Mom's latest project. Swinging lazy. Fireflies winking approval. but scars itched. Jake vanished post-suit. Rumor had him shipped to a military academy in New Mexico, straightening out. Vindicated, but no joy, just exhaustion. Theo threw a fuck the haters bonfire. Backyard blaze, S-mores and indie playlists. His crowd enveloping us in acceptance. To survivors, he toasted, marshmallow gooey on a stick. Laughter echoed till embers died. Stars pricking the ink-black sky. Summer hummed fuller. Road trip west, dusty Chevy loaded with coolers and cassettes. Zion's Red Rock Canyons first. Hikes to hidden arches. Echoes of our voices bouncing like secrets. Chris traced petroglyphs with fingertips. Ancient queers, maybe. Loving fierce. Nights in a tent under Milky Way blaze. Zipped close against chill. Conversations deep as the slots. Fears of future bigotries. Dreams of graphic novels and coaching clinics. Then Yosemite, granite monoliths guarding emerald valleys. We summit half-dome chained together, cables slick with sweat, his hand steadying mine at the crux. Summit view. Endless Sierra cascade. Wind whipping triumph. We did it! I gasped, lungs burning sweet. You did. He pulled me close, kiss salt-tanged. Always will. Coastward. Big Sur cliffs plunging to Pacific roar. Highway 1 hugging curves like a lover's spine. Camped on bluffs. Bonfires spitting sparks to the void. Waves crashing anthems. One dusk, seals barking below, he carved our initials in driftwood. Not for posterity, but moment. C and a 26. Our map, he said, tossing it to the tide. Washes away, but memory sticks. East again, fall crisp. Chris back at CU, me senior year grinding AP art. Commutes became ritual. Friday pickups, boulder dives for Thai takeout, study sessions dissolving into makeouts on his futon. Dad noticed, drive safe, with a wink that still startled. Thanksgiving redux, table groaning abundance, mark a ghost, new faces. Dr. Lena invited, bridging professional to personal. Dad raised glass. To growth. Messy as hell, but worth it. Clinks rang true. Winter solstice neared, 1 year post-slide. We planned quiet. Tree lot hall, lights strung on the rancher, mom's cocoa steaming. But Dad surprised. Trip. All of us. Veil again. Eyes wide. You sure? Cane and all. Gruff smile. Face the mountain. Together. Cabin same as ours, cozy logs, stone hearth. Dad skied gentle blues, Mom cross-country trailing. Chris and I ventured the ridge. Beacons beeping, but trust absolute. At the overlook, snow heart still faintly carved. Our title, weathered but there. He traced it. Shocked you then. Still do. Every day. Kiss in powder hush. Family whoops echoing distant. Avalanche scars faded. Literal pink lines on Chris's arm. Figurative in Dad's lighter grip. Life layered. My portfolio accepted at CU's design program. Shared campus thrill. Chris's team embraced him. Queer ally stickers on lockers. Coach pulling him aside. Proud to have you. Betrayals echo? Forgiven, not forgotten. Jake texted once. Anonymous apology. Grew up. Sorry. Deleted, but closures whisper. Spring Senior Showcase. My exhibit, graphic novel excerpts, avalanche hearts. Panels of snow and secrets, love's raw edge. Crowd milled. Theo beaming. Mom tearing up. Dad nodding. Damn good, son. Chris at the end. Eyes proud. My hero. Graduation dawn. Cap and gown, tassel swing. Stage walk, diploma gripped. Family cheers loudest. After party backyard, lanterns glow, grill smoking. Dad pulled me aside. You taught me, Alex, about courage. Us, Dad. Hug fierce. Summer postgrad. Internship at a Denver studio, Chris assistant coaching. Plans solidified. Apartment hunt off Pearl. Shared lease. Adults now building. One August eve. Rooftop bar overlooking city skyline. Twinkling grid. Airplanes winking descent. Martini's sweating, his foot hooked mine under the high top. Future's bright, he said, clinking glasses. Yours, maybe. Tease, but truth. Uncertainties loomed, careers unsteady, world still spinning judgments. Nah, ours. Hand over mine, public now, easy earned. Remember the slide? Thought it was end. Was start. Smile shared, electric. Dusk deepened, stars pricking velvet. Below, Denver pulsed, flawed, fierce, home. We'd shocked it, each other, ourselves. But in the quiet thunder of us, humanism bloomed. Love not despite flaws, but through them. Fractured family mended crooked, but strong. Betrayals forged resilience. Conflicts, compassion. Chris leaned in, breath warm. Ready for whatever? With you? Always. And in that American sprawl, mountains guarding, plains stretching, we ran toward it. No avalanches waiting, just horizon hand in hand.